ensure the sport tests are accurate and within specification limits. Furthermore, DOH is concerned about the legislation authorizing tattoo and body piercing activities being conducted in the funeral establishments. We have more information, explain the reasons for Section 7.2 of this legislation, or who would be served by this section, the possible commingling of tattoo and body piercing activities with the funeral operation raises serious health concerns. Thank you for allowing us to testify today. I'm available to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Dr. Woldew. And it seems like you have a comprehensive regulation already established for this profession. I thank you for your expertise in this matter. Mr. Davis, now you mentioned, what role do you feel that Department of Health should play? From what I'm reading from Dr. Woldew and Department of Health, I would think that Dr. Akhtar, the director,
yes, sir,
and the executive is in favor of this, that they take over the entire regulation through the health department. With regards to DCRA, what's the status of the regulations? I know that we have been working on this for some time, and what has been the holdup and what is the status of the regulations of the tattoo artists and body piercing artists?
As I stated earlier, that we are, I would say, 80 to 90% complete in terms of regulation. Where it came in, we were focused on the tattooing piece at first, and then we understand we needed to include probably body piercing. So we're working on that piece, but we're very close. We've been working on this for a little while, but what we wanted to do, make sure that we did a comprehensive approach to this, and we have done that. We have been to expos, we have been to national, each different members of the board belong to national organizations, such as the National Interstate Council for Cosmetology, where you have boards from all states, all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. You have a national organization such as National Association of Barber Boards of America, again with all the boards. So we did
Are there
research.
any other states that incorporate the tattoo artists and body piercing artists under the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology?
Yes, they are.
What other states?
Just to name a few, I don't have all of them in front of me, but just to name a few off the top of it would be Virginia, Maine, New Mexico, and there are others. So the boards, and that, you know, we want to do sending people out to board members to get the information collected. We're that close. We've been working very hard. Could furnish you a copy of where we are, if you like, for your review.
And what role does Department of Health play with any of the other states?
This is Clifford Cooks. It's my understanding that the Department of Health is looking at regulating the establishments, which is what they basically do now for majority of our programs. Like barber and cosmetology, they regulate the establishments. I believe the testimony from Dr. Woldew is making that the Department of Health regulate the establishment and make sure the establishment is in order, and then once they're in order, then we could go forth and regulate the individuals who are going to work in the establishment.
So what would be the main, now I see the regulations for the establishments with regards to the operational activities, the sanitary conditions, the equipment, the supplies, the safety of that. So you think the Department of Health should regulate the establishment first and foremost, and what are the same standards, or I guess I would refer to the doctor, are there any standards the Department of Health should impose on the individual artists themselves?
Well, we will work with the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs to look at specific training requirements or skills that will
because
be
I believe you mentioned 200
hours. Is what we have looked at, but there is no consensus on that. But we should have some basic standards for the practitioners.
I'm sorry, doctor, is the 200 hours, that's with regards to the safety standards?
Yes.
and regulations?
Steps.
So, in addition to that, Mr. Davis, how many hours do you think that the artists should have in terms of their actual trade?
Through our research, and what we try to do, we had other practices or professions. What I'm getting at is that we try to stick within our surrounding jurisdiction, which is Virginia, who regulates it, and their apprenticeship program.
And Maryland, too.
Right. Their apprenticeship program requires 1,500 training hours, and that's done usually under an apprentice. Right now, I believe someone indicated there were no schools. There are schools, but maybe not in this area. But
there's no reputable school now.
well, I'm not going to get into a debate with
I'm
that.
sorry,
but
no,
what I'm saying,
testifying, so
yeah,
please.
what I'm saying is that through our research, we understand that there may be a school in the Midwest that was supposed to be reputable, and I've talked to one of the 4 leading experts in tattooing. But in any case, what we're trying to do is stay within the 1,500 hours like Virginia, so we want to stay within our surrounding jurisdiction.
So when we say the training of the apprenticeship training, that would be defined as training within one of the licensed establishments.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And like I said, I can furnish you a copy of what we have done, which addresses a lot of things that may not have been said here, but it's very extensive. We've done a lot of work. This is well vetted a document, and I think it has a lot to do with the licensing of the tattoo artists and body piercing artists.
And maybe, and I'm not going to knock it, but it may be a good idea for someone to open up a school.
Absolutely.
And I know some people are, saying no. It's a art. It's a tradition. It's handed down, from from one person to another. But maybe there is some sense of that there should be a school for this, or it should be open to that, so that it would be more reputable artists out there.
I concur. I agree 100%. I think education is always the key to anything. I don't care who it's been passed down by. But because if you look at history, barbers used to be doctors. That's the profession we came out of. But through technology and through increase in terms of medical diseases and things like that, the profession became separated. So now you have doctors and now you have barbers. So what I'm saying is
I'm
training.
not understanding what you said. Barbers used to be doctors.
In other words, training. You talked about training. I agree that training is the key, and education is always the key to everything. When you say pass down from person to person or whatever, that's not necessarily always a formal education or a standard-based education. So we have standards that have been passed down from when barbers used to be, in the old days, barbers were doctors, dentists, and the barber all in one profession. But as education increased in terms of the medical profession, they separated them. So I think training is always important, education.
Yes, Doctor.
What we are proposing, especially from the Department of Health point of view, the training is specifically not on their art. What we are proposing for the training is for blood-borne pathogen training, CPR, first aid. These are available through the industry-specific trainings are available by the professional organizations that they belong to. There is a professional organization that the piercing industry has a professional organization. Also, the tattoo industry has a professional organization. They do offer training on specific training on the industry-specific trainings to this. These are what we are asking for, not their art. Obviously, their art could be very different from one artist to the next, but they all should have the same standard in terms of adhering to this specific and how to respond if there is a medical emergency while they are performing their art. So those are the kind of things that we are worried about.
And should the body piercing, in fact, include the ear piercing?
That's right.
Is there currently regulations in place for ear piercing?
No. Currently, we don't have any regulation that governs this. We have been concerned about this. We've been talking to DCRA, and we've been on the same page with them. There are several professions that we regulate the facilities, and DCRA regulates the profession, like massage establishments. They do license the facilities, but we do the inspections. We the same way with barber cosmetology. We have the responsibility to inspect the facilities, but they have the responsibility to license the professionals. So it is consistent with the relationship that we have with DCRA.
Exactly. So, but the difference is you do have some standards on the individual as well as the establishment.
So that is something that we incorporate with DCRA as we address the specific training requirements, and then the specific roles and responsibilities will reflect on their training. Not everyone can do body piercing. Not everyone can do tattooing. Not everyone can do any other services that they provide under the umbrella of tattooing and body piercing, because it involves a lot broader services that they provide.
Exactly.
Depending on from one. So we want to have a standard. We want to have some basic standard, which is a floor, not the ceiling. So we want to make sure that they all are governed with the same rules.
And for the provision, Dr. Waldo, with regards to under the influence of any drug or alcohol, do you think that should be omitted, or is that included? Or
all of our
medical professionals, sure. Isn't that included?
Yes. All of our professional boards. Not only do we require them to go to be drug-free, but we also make sure that they are crime-free. They all have to go through criminal background check to get a license from the Department of Health. And if anyone is operating under the influence, or even if they are caught driving under the influence, they are referred to us. And we do have a health professionals health program where we send them for treatment. And to maintain their license, they must go through the treatment, and they must prove to us they are free of any drug or alcohol. So we do provide those services as well.
And some of the owners found that to be offensive, but I just wanted you to stress the important, as they say that barbers or cosmetologists, that provision is not included in their regulation, but if you could just expound upon the importance
Sure.
in including that provision for tattoo artists and body piercing artists, because they in fact are doing the surgical procedure, so to speak.
Well, I can't emphasize more that anyone who has a responsibility to provide any type of healthcare services, anyone who has a responsibility to touch a patient or to provide healthcare services to a patient, they must be on their for us, the Department of Health, they must be ethical, they must be professional, they must be competent, and crime-free. So. Anyone who's providing healthcare services in the State of Colombia under the influence of alcohol or drugs is brought in front of the board, and the board do have sanctions levied against these people. So this is a very important issue that we actually follow up very, very closely.
Now, you're not recommending criminal background check for the artists as well?
Well, for us, if they are under the HORA, which is the Health Occupational Revision Act, and if they have been determined to be healthcare professionals, they must all go through the criminal background check.
Would they be determined as healthcare professionals?
Well, if they are under DCRA, they will not. They are not included within our HORA. The HORA does not include
Right.
The body piercers or tattoo artists to be health professionals.
Right. But we'll just stick to the establishment.
The establishment, yes.
Codes.
So if DCRA determines that all health professionals must go through criminal background check, then that's a different story. But currently, they are not under the HORA.
And currently, with the Department of Health, with staffing, is it possible to have these regulators in place to go out to the establishments? How many